At the time I originally wrote this script, the Wisdom Saga had just come out. Now, the Vengeance Saga has been released. Oh, how time flies when you forget all about the video you wanted to make. In any case, I previously made a short little video discussing a mini sort of theory on what I thought might happen in God games. Short story short, I was not correct. But I was onto something. You gotta admit that would have been a killer idea. Nevertheless, it was fantastic to finally listen to God games in full and to hear the parts we did not know. But before I begin my fangirling, I want to shout out Avisivivana, sorry if I mispronounced that, on the said previous video for their comments. I immediately began writing the script as soon as I read it, even if it took me until now to post. Let us begin with the best part of the entire song in my humble opinion. I do not know what you all were doing, but I, for one, was hyperventilating the moment Wolfie's animation began. Mainly because of Apollo. I am unabashedly biased, but he was my favorite part. The entire introduction of the gods was my favorite part in the Wisdom Saga. It went hard. Apollo's little bow and wave and little smile as he glances over his shoulder. 10 out of 10, no notes, absolutely flawless. If he had blown a kiss to the crowd, I would have died on the spot. He is the moment I am not stable and am now insane. Jorge, Wolfie, Brandon, you made me insane. You are paying the bills. Hephaestus being voiced by Jorge's dad? Awesome. That building a booth short suddenly is so intrinsic to the story of Epic. Oh my god. Aphrodite, Ares, and Hera making their grand entrance? Awesome. Loved the grit in Lute's voice when he said Ares' name. Like, yes, give the god of war a boss entrance. Also, we have a lyric change. Zeus says "or me" in the final version. In the snippet, he said "and me." Interesting. I was very much surprised by what Apollo's part was about. I did not, nor did anyone else for that matter, consider the sirens for Apollo. Everyone was going back and forth on Tumblr about whether or not he would be about the cows, or, as was more popular in my corner of Tumblr, it would be about Troy. And while I was a little bummed out it wasn't Troy, a Tumblr mutual of mine made a very good post discussing why actually Apollo does not have a grudge against Odysseus at all. I won't go over it I won't go over it in the video, but there will be a link below, so check it out. Also, on the Epic Wiki, there's a list of cut songs, and 2 of them are aimed towards Apollo, and Odysseus is being incredibly respectful to him. So really, Apollo was definitely just picking something for Athena to easily counter. Plus, the Odyssey takes place a little after the Oresteia. Why is this important? Because from what I hear, Telemachus was told by Athena in the Odyssey that he must have courage like Orestes did. So that means the Oresteia has happened rather recently. And you know who helped Orestes out? Apollo. You know who else did? Athena. So you could see Apollo giving Athena a super easy challenge as a thank you for that. She did him a solid, so he's giving her one too. Another thing I noticed was that Brandon gave Apollo's voice a little country twang. I know some people have called it a surfer voice, but trust me, that was country. I am a Midwestie. I know country when I hear it. The way he says Ron is the perfect country twang. I have heard it pronounced exactly like that in country music. Trust me, I was the microphone. It probably sounds like I'll be giving a deep dive behind every god, but no promises on that. I only went on that spree because of how much of a Apollo nerd I am. I mean, have you met me? But rest assured, as I am typing the script out, I will be doing some proper thinking behind them. Hephaestus focused on Odysseus sacrificing his crew, but also relents pretty quickly. This also fits because, like Apollo, he doesn't have much reason to dislike Odysseus. But what I found fascinating was Athena's choice to focus on the people Odysseus still had left to love, perhaps trying to appeal to Hephaestus' own troubles with family and how he became reconciled with them. Aphrodite's part talks about Anticlea. It's very cool that she gets to be upset over a mother's heartbreak, because often in media, she's portrayed as only ever interested in romantic love. I also found it funny just how close she was to going, LOL no. But then, Athena's voice gets softer, because she realizes she can't overcome love with pure hard logic. She has to reach for the emotions instead. Which is when Ares intervenes and shakes the game up, like the boss he is. If you can't tell, I love all the Greek gods. All of them. I may poke fun at them at times, but at the end of the day, I think they're all great. And Apollo's the greatest, send tweet. Ares and Athena battle inside the quick thought, something Athena created and Ares disrupts. Possibly or not, do both of them be in war? Who knows? It's funny how Athena uses, there will be lots of blood if he's freed to convince Ares. Ares is essentially going, understandable, have a nice day. And then we get to Hera. Oh, Hera, I adore you. The style, the swag, the sass, the absolute pull this woman has. Also, I love how awkward Athena is in Anythymus Enigmatic. Say that 5 times fast.
What's his name?
Never once has he cheated on his wife.
No! You threw off my groove.
And then, oh boy, the ending. First of all, I want to commend Luke Holt's vocals here. Absolutely stunning, no notes, 10 out of 10, will listen again. Beast Mode Zeus is not to be messed with. Also, the animation was stunning. Smulio, I died. My corpse is writing the script. When I originally wrote this, it was the day of the release of the Wisdom Saga. Well, day after for me, because I live an hour behind Jorge, and therefore got the songs at 11 p.m. Haha. And stayed up till 3 a.m. obsessing over them. Never said I make smart decisions. Anyway, there was discussion, at least on Tumblr, over Zeus striking Athena with lightning. Understandable, since Zeus has unfortunately been made the villain over the past years, something many other gods can relate to. As far as I know, mythology Zeus never actually lays a hand on any of his kids. So it's understandable why people would be upset over Athena getting blasted. Here's something I thought about it. Remember Prometheus? If not, here's a long story cut short. Humans sacrifice animals. Humans don't get yummy part of animals. Gods do. Prometheus feels sorry for humans. Prometheus tricks Zeus into picking the fat and bones of animals. Humans don't get yummy parts. Zeus is upset. Prometheus tricked him. Zeus takes fire from humans. Prometheus feels sorry again and steals fire. Zeus becomes apocalyptic and Prometheus is chained to a rock. Eagle eats his liver. What does this have to do with epic? It's one myth where it perfectly showcases how when Zeus gets angry, he can cause major damage to those who invoke it. That is precisely what Athena does. My brain makes the strangest reaches sometimes, but they tend to make sense, so I just roll with it. Athena feels sorry for Odysseus. She challenges Zeus. Zeus sets challenge. Athena defeats challenge. Zeus does not take defeat well. So he lashes out. And, okay, I just had a thought. This is not part of the original script. And while this is, so Aesop's Fables, it's not part of the actual Greek mythology, but I just suddenly recalled something. It was one of his fables involved Apollo actually bragging about his archery skills, and so Zeus was like, "Well, let's have a little competition then." And so they have oh my gosh, curse my stutter. So they had the competition. But instead of actually shooting the bow and an arrow, Zeus just steps over to where the arrow was supposed to be aimed at and says, like, that's how he wins or something like that. So I guess if you want a like a funny headcanon, then like you could say that Zeus is a bit of a sore loser. I don't know. There's a little fun fact, a little aside for this video. But going back to the serious stuff, Look at Zeus's expression here. He stops. He's actually looking at what he's doing. And at the very end of the song, the lightning is gone. His head is lowered, and while we're looking at him from an above angle, his head still looks like it's lowered, like he's really processing what he's done. Look, I have a soft spot for messy I have a soft spot for messy dynamics. I don't know why, but it's always hit hard for me. I mean, my favorite book series is The Trials of Apollo. Messy dynamics in a nutshell. And the thing about Greek mythology as a whole, no matter how much the gods hurt each other, they do still love each other. Those things are not mutually exclusive. I mean, listen to Ares' line. Is she dead? He sounds legitimately concerned. Ares and Athena may be seen as opposites, but as one line shows that even with all their feuding, they still care about each other. So while it's definitely not okay to harm your own daughter, I am absolutely not promoting that here. I am here to say that the Greek gods have a messy relationship, and that's okay. That's what happens when you live for an eternity. Things get messy. While Zeus blasting Athena does not happen in the Odyssey, I do think it matches with the story Epic is telling. When does a man become a monster? Gods are not human, of course, but also they kind of are, because they are reflections of humanity. They have human flaws. So to see Zeus's wrath get stretched to harming Athena is certainly an interesting one when you take into account the many parent-child relationships in Epic. There's something to be said here about all this, something I am unable to put into words right now. But there is something here, and I love it. Epic is an adaptation of the Odyssey. Adaptations, especially musical ones, I think should be given a bit more leeway with their source material, simply because they are compiling an entire epic into a 2-act musical. Never mind the fact that there's other Greek myths thrown in there too. You can tell Epic was carefully thought through. This is not something that was made simply to cash in on the Greek myth revival. It's not a half-baked story that just has the characters merely react to what went on in the myths. It builds on them. Epic puts a legitimate spin on the Odyssey, forming relationships between people who never had such a close bond in the first place, bringing in questions of morality. The ever-lingering question of when does a man become a monster becomes a theme, and the juxtaposition of a greet the world with open arms is an eternal haunting of the narrative. And I love my narrative hauntings. I strayed from the original intention of the video, but I actually had no regrets doing so, because here's the thing. It's always more fun discussing Greek myth media when you know the myths. There's always something to unpack, because that becomes even more meaningful with the source material. It's no fun if it doesn't do the source justice. I've certainly had difficulty finding some that catches my interest, mostly because somehow, in some way, one of the gods is vilified in a way that discomforts me. I do wish Zeus wasn't portrayed in this way, but I really think his facial expression speaks volumes of what he's thinking at the end of God Games. Wrath is a deadly flaw, as is pride. Zeus has often portrayed both in many myths, even if he is doing so in an act of divine retribution. So taking those flaws and having one of his kids suffer for it, while also showing how he's startled out of it, gives him dimensions inside Epic's story. And I love me some dimensions. I do understand if you still don't like his portrayal. I'm just trying to put my jumbled thoughts into words and explain what I'm thinking while also simultaneously praying I'm not offending anyone. This is in no way a proper professional analysis video. I came here to ramble, fangirl, and spitball ideas like a true nerd. My one, more personal and very small critique of God Games is that I wish the other gods had backed Athena up in the finale. I think it would have been pretty thematic and cool. On Tumblr, I made a post talking about this and kind of gave an outline to the visuals in my head. And don't worry, I'm not criticizing the livestream visuals. I love them. I'm just a sucker for the gods and want more of them. So I made up a scenario in my head about it. It touches more on the godly relationships I briefly discussed here. If you'd like to see how I would have envisioned the ending of God Games, there's a link in the description down below to my post. explain a bit more about the mythology in it too. And so comes the end of this video. Again, I want to shout out Rivera-Herrans, again, sorry if I mispronounced that, for spurring me into making this. It is certainly much longer and more detailed than the previous one. In any case, while I do have my own critiques concerning the new Vengeance saga, Epic the Musical is turning out to be a great adaptation of the Odyssey that puts its own twist on it. There's no doubt about it. From how Jorge handles the more controversial parts, to switching the Lotus Eaters into adorable little creatures called Winions, Epic is turning out to be one of the best Greek myth adaptations to date. And I, for one, am excited for the Ithaca saga. My money is on Christmas Day release.
Although I'm a fan of catchy songs, so with so many sirens gone, I think Cody's in the wrong.
They were trying to do him worse. All he did was reimburse them. Now they'll tread with caution first, to live another day and sing another verse.
If that's true, release him.